From the CISO series, it's Cybersecurity Headlines.
These are the cybersecurity headlines for Friday, June 19th, 2026. I'm Steve Prentice. Police clear up SocGholish-infected sites tied to Evil Corp. This joint action, supported by Europol and Eurojust, formed part of Operation Endgame. One of the objectives of Operation Endgame was to disrupt a key infection chain linked to Evil Corp. Law enforcement authorities from the Netherlands, Canada, the US, and Germany cleaned SocGholish malware infections from almost 15,000 compromised WordPress websites and took 106 servers and domains offline. While they removed malware and backdoors from the infected sites, the agencies also advised website owners to change their credentials, enable multi-factor authentication, delete any unknown WordPress accounts, and keep their WordPress site up to date. Klue OAuth breach linked to Icarus Salesforce data theft attacks. The market intelligence platform Klue, that is Klue, suffered an OAuth breach that enabled threat actors from Icarus to steal Salesforce CRM data from multiple organizations in an ongoing extortion campaign. Bleeping Computer reports that, quote, numerous organizations had their Salesforce data stolen and were now being extorted, end quote. Cybersecurity firms ReliaQuest and Huntress have both confirmed the security incident, with Huntress stating that their Salesforce data was stolen in the attack. Salesforce has now disabled the connection between itself and the Klue Battle Cards app. Hostile states behind 3/4 of attacks on Britain's critical infrastructure, says Cyber Chief. Richard Horne, chief executive of the National Cybersecurity Center, said that his teams had handled more than 200 incidents affecting critical infrastructure and its supporting ecosystem in the year to May, of which about 75% were believed to be the work of state actors. This follows his disclosure from earlier this year that his agency was, quote, handling 4 nationally significant cyber incidents in a week, with the majority traced back to what are believed to be hostile governments rather than criminal hackers, end quote. Speaking at the annual security lecture at the Royal United Services Institute on Wednesday, Horne warned that, quote, kinetic targeting in any conflict tomorrow will be based on intelligence gathered today, end quote, and that adversaries were pre-positioning throughout British critical infrastructure. Mark Warner has an urgent message regarding CISA cuts and staffing gaps. On Tuesday, Senator Mark Warner sent a letter to CISA Acting Director Nick Anderson in which he expressed alarm over widespread cuts at the agency, short-staffed regional divisions, and the disbanding of an information sharing and analysis center that supports state and local critical infrastructure operators, end quote. Warner also last week introduced legislation known as the Guaranteeing Universal Access to Cybersecurity Act, which would fund the Multi-State Information Sharing and Analysis Center, which had been shuttered by now former DHS Secretary Kristi Noem. Also on Tuesday, Warner sent a letter to the current DHS Secretary, Mark Wayne Mullen, stressing that the DHS must prioritize CISA and pay for the Multi-State Information Sharing and Analysis Center. Huge thanks to our sponsor, ThreatLocker. Every security leader is being asked the same question right now. How do we enable innovation without creating unnecessary risk? That's the challenge behind cloud adoption, behind AI, behind automation, and behind every major technology decision. ThreatLocker helps organizations take a zero-trust approach to that challenge, giving them greater control over what can execute, what can access their environment, and what users and applications are allowed to do. That's why ThreatLocker is proud to support cybersecurity headlines, because security works best when innovation and control move together. Apple fixes Beats Studio Buds flaw that allowed eavesdropping. Security updates have now been deployed to patch a high-severity flaw affecting the Beats Studio Buds wireless earbuds that could, quote, allow attackers in Bluetooth range to spy on users' conversations, end quote. Specifically, Apple explained in an advisory that an attacker within Bluetooth range may be able to listen through the microphone of a device which is not yet paired and actively seeks paired requests. Apple blames the CVE-numbered flaw on a vulnerability in open-source code with Apple software amongst its affected projects. The vulnerability stems from a missing authentication weakness in the Bluetooth BR/EDR radio. DragonForce hackers abuse Microsoft Teams relays to hide C2 traffic. A custom Go-based remote access Trojan called backdoor.turn, T-U-R-N, is being used to conceal command and control traffic inside Microsoft Teams relay infrastructure. Symantec and Carbon Black state the backdoor has been deployed against a major U.S. services firm, although the name of that company has not been disclosed. In short, backdoor.turn obtains an anonymous Teams visitor token from Microsoft's Skype-backed identity services, uses a legitimate Microsoft Turn relay to set up the connection, and then runs a quick session QUIC to the attacker's real command and control server while remaining invisible to network defenders. F5 patches critical Nginx vulnerabilities enabling unauthenticated code execution. Out-of-band patches have been issued from multiple Nginx vulnerabilities, including 2 critical flaws, both CVE-numbered and both with a CVSS score of 9.2. These affect HTTP modules and can be exploited remotely without authentication to trigger memory corruption, potentially causing service restarts or enabling arbitrary code execution. The first of these is a critical use after free vulnerability in a module of Nginx open source, while the other is a critical heap-based buffer overflow vulnerability. Majority of Internet-accessible RedCap servers outdated, says Census. RedCap is a browser-based platform used for building and managing clinical research data in the medical field. It was developed by Vanderbilt University and is used by academic, healthcare, and non-profit organizations. A report just issued by Google's Threat Intelligence Group says legacy RedCap servers are, quote, routinely targeted by a China-linked threat actor tracked as UNC6508 for cyber espionage purposes, end quote. In one instance, the attacker deployed the Infinite Red backdoor 3 months after the initial intrusion. 1 year after remaining undetected, the hacking group used the harvested credentials to access the organization's internal network and exfiltrate data. According to the Census report, there are approximately 8,500 Internet-exposed RedCap instances globally, but just over 1% of them run the latest version available. It's Friday, and that means it's time for our Department of No show. Each and every Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern, we bring together 2 fantastic security leaders to break down what the biggest cybersecurity news stories of the week mean for your cybersecurity team. Cybersecurity Headlines gives you the facts. Department of No gives you the context about why all of this matters. So if you haven't checked it out before, join us live today at 4 p.m. Eastern on the CISO Series YouTube channel. It's a good time. You won't regret it. And if you have some thoughts on the news from today or about this show in general, please be sure to reach out to us at feedback@cisoseries.com. We would love to hear from you. I'm Steve Prentice, reporting for the CISO Series.
Cybersecurity headlines are available every weekday. Head to CISOseries.com for the full stories behind the headlines.